Happy Easter, everyone. Easter 2024.
Look what the chicken laid.
I'm a grown up. Constance is here with me this morning. She's over here. She is decked out in her most Eastery uh,
Sweatshirt. Because it's chilly here this morning, but the sun's shining. The sun's shining.
So
Woohoo!
I hope you can hear her because we have a few uh, memories, precious memories
Of
of
Easter of the gone days. The time's gone by.
we are unique. We've been married 56 years now, but we grew up in the same town. And so we have a whole bunch of very uh, uh, similar memories. And Constance was reminiscing about what Easter was like when she was a kid, and she's going to share them with us right now. But she doesn't want to be seen. So
Because we just decided to do the spur of the moment, and I
yeah,
didn't have any lipstick on, which is the least of how I look.
well, tell us where you were when you spent all of these Easters at your
In Columbus, Nebraska,
yes,
eastern Nebraska.
and tell us about your Easter. What did you do on Easter in your
Well, it
family?
always starts earlier than that. First, there's Lent, and then the church. We were Catholics. Lon was not. Lon was Protestant. What were you, dear?
Methodist.
That's yes. They
We
did not.
sang a lot, but didn't.
They didn't fight in our town. There was half and half, and
Yeah.
half my relatives were Protestant and half were Catholic. So, anyway, it prepared in Lent that the Catholic Church, our church, beautiful miniature Gothic cathedral, covered up the statues with dark purple or almost black, like pillowcases for Lent. You couldn't see, as if it was. Well, it was. They would become your friends, so you were you were giving up looking at the beautiful statues for Lent. And of course, the other thing.
They looked like they were hostages,
They,
right, with the black
exactly,
hoods. Okay.
exactly. So, and then a couple weeks or maybe 3 weeks or so before Easter, Daddy would agree with Mommy how much money that she could spend on, because she didn't make the money. Well, she did anyways. They agreed how much money they would go shopping for Easter clothes with, because kids would outgrow their Easter clothing, and when they got to be even, so you couldn't wear the same thing. Luckily, sometimes you could wear the same overcoat, but you couldn't wear the same other things. So we go get sometimes shoes, but usually, and sometimes gloves if you're lucky. We go to the upstairs portion of J.C. Penney and Montgomery Ward's, because that's where they had coats and gloves and the millinery department,
Millinery.
because you had to wear hats to church.
Oh,
And people
yeah.
did anyway. And it was really fun because you could get a new Easter bonnet, a new Easter hat, a new hat for Easter. And I'm not kidding. It was kind of a big deal. And a new coat maybe to our gloves, but at least a new hat you got every
We're
Easter.
talking the mid 50s, 1950s, aren't we?
Early 60s.
And early 60s, yeah.
Yeah, well, probably 50s mostly, yeah. And anyway, we'd get a hat and expect, you expect spring to be like spring. And you expect spring to start not on spring. In Nebraska, that was really expecting too much, because usually, but at least by Easter. So maybe 1 in 10 looked like spring on Easter, but usually it was a sleet storm or something. So you didn't even get to wear your Easter bonnet that day. You had to wait a couple weeks or a month or so later anyway. So we go to the church during the sleet storm, all bundled up, without our Easter bonnets and probably wearing our winter coats still.
Hatus interruptus.
We'd have to
Right.
wear our winter hats and or babushkas. Uh,
A lot of babushkas in Columbus.
yeah. But we'd get to church, and the pillowcases would be off the statues, and I swear they have more lights turned on, and the altar would be full of white lilies and other flowers. It was really awesome, especially if it was a sleet storm outside.
Yeah.
They spent
How
a
cozy.
fortune on it, and it was pretty.
And
And
St. Bond's looked like a little Gothic
oh,
cathedral inside. It
it
was
still,
gorgeous and primitive, and
it was awesome.
it was
And
Renaissance-y.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Uh, Anyway, but before, I forgot to say, before, when we first got out of bed, we'd get these, our Easter baskets, which would always consist of, oh God, have you bitten the heads off your waxy chocolate bunnies yet? uh, they were awful, but they were really kind of pretty, and the best our parents could pull off, for
We
the green.
neither of us came from wealthy families at
No,
all.
my,
We
my
were,
father
yeah,
was a carpenter and eventually had his own custom cabinet making business.
pretty modest, both
Yeah.
of us.
So anyway, we had the green plastic grass and the one waxy chocolate bunny and Lon, say something about the peeps, Lon.
The Peeps.
They were always old and nobody ever ate the peeps, did they? Because I think once I must have tasted them, and besides they look like little chicks, I couldn't do that.
Peeps taste just like this chicken foot, only that they pretended to be edible.
And of course, and then there's, if you were lucky, you got one or two the foil wrapped Cadbury cream eggs, which were, I mean, I don't even lust after them now. They were still horrible, but they were of the quality better than the others. And then there were these white, middle-sized, beautiful pastel-colored, hard, crusty, egg-shaped things that had styrofoam in the middle. I don't know what that was either. And then the lowest of the low caste was, well, maybe those were probably lower than the jelly beans even. But it all looked pretty anyway. But by the end of the morning, you were tired of looking at it, let's say that.
Well, at my house, I was literally sick.
Oh yeah, we were pretty close to it.
Easter was
Yeah, and we have, yeah.
regurgitation
Yeah.
holiday. Yes.
And then we would then after Mass, then we would probably eat breakfast and then go to the Protestant side of the family, my father's family, the Olsons, and we would have, my grandma would always have some kind of, maybe we even had Easter dinner there, and we'd have an Easter egg hunt for all the kids, and I was the oldest one, so when I got to be a little older, I still have a bracelet that she hid. And if it was cold, which it almost was, she would hide things all over the house. But if it was nice, which occasionally it was nice enough for kids anyway, because, who cared? we would hunt outside around in their yard under the lilac bush and it was awesome. Okay. Which was not blooming at the time.
But we had real Easter egg hunts. It was part of just
yeah.
like Christmas morning. You
Right.
have present. There was
And there are lots of hard-boiled eggs colored. Somebody did. Who knows who colored
right.
them?
Smelled like vinegar because
Well,
you
anyway,
dyed them with
Yeah,
vinegar.
and, anyway, in solidarity for all that, we are actually having warm, hot, hard-boiled eggs for breakfast this morning instead of omelets.
This chicken laid him.
Oh, was there anything else?
Oh,
Jean Paul.
yes.
Well, so when we had Jean Paul, our son, we used to kind of do. We repeated that, except for the church
Except
thing.
for the church thing. But we would visit Grandma.
We would visit Lon's mother, yes, in Lakewood, Southern California, and she would have more Easter candy than we would have because I would buy health food store
Right,
Easter
right.
things, not a lot of
Grandma would have the peeps and shit like that. Yeah.
And Jean Paul, being an innocent child, ate them. So
And he wasn't used to eating that kind of
so
stuff.
well, because he has allergies, and at the time we didn't quite know what they were, but there was always every year of his growth. Like the first year, he barfed grape juice and milk all over Lon. So we have a vomit song for Jean Paul, and
He'd vomit so much when we'd go out to eat and things like that I
Well,
made up a song.
It wasn't
Okay.
so much, but it was once a year at least enough to have one for
Yeah.
the first few years of his life. So there was one where he was eating pizza and onions. Onions would make him throw up. And the other was Papa shook him after he was drinking grape juice and milk with a bottle, and it landed all over Lon's beard. But one of the songs was we were driving. Mark and Margaret was Lon's brother and his sister-in-law, and they would drive also to see Lon's mom on Easter. So we went with them, and Jean-Paul had eaten Easter candy at Grandma's house, and we have a part of a verse we will sing of.
Well, I'll sing the whole song if you want.
No, please don't go there. They have more things to do than that this morning.
Okay. When Jean-Paul
Was a little baby.
well, he was like,
Oh,
it
that's
starts off when
When he
he's a
was a
baby, he
baby.
threw up on Papa's beard.
Right.
Okay. He was drinking some grape juice and he was
Oh,
drinking
you
milk.
go ahead and sing that part.
Okay.
You sing that part alone, and I'll sing the other part with you.
Well, and then he threw up in the Italian restaurant, and then he threw up. Okay.
Well, how was he when this
When
one?
Jean-Paul, I think he was 5 years old.
Oh, I was going to say 3 or 4, but who knows? It was probably younger.
Oh, okay.
When Jean-Paul was
4 years old, he threw up in Mark and Margaret's car. He was eating Easter candy and going over bumps. He threw up in Mark and Margaret's car. Lord, Lord, he threw up in Mark and Margaret's car. I
He
hope
threw up
that.
in everybody's car, by the way, occasionally.
But that's the one we enshrined. Now we were when the band was recording at CBS, 1969 and 1970. Okay, none of us could afford a house, even to rent a house of our own. But several of the band members, there was Constance and me, and then my brother and his wife.
We're not band members, but anyway.
They're not band members, but they're family. And Joe Wilson and his wife. We all lived at around Easter time in a nice house in Costa Mesa, sort of half-assed communally. And Margaret made a cake, or did you make the cake?
No, I did nothing in those days. Before I got pregnant, Jean-Paul taught me everything.
This is before Jean-Paul was born.
Oh yeah, I cooked when we had a wood stove in a cabin, but after that, Margaret did.
Right.
I was young.
So Margaret made a cake
Easter.
for Easter. Okay.
And she had it frosted, and then she had this little tube. You could buy tubes of colored things that you could write things on it, like Happy Easter and things on
Right.
or Happy Birthday.
She was going to
whatever.
decorate it, piping in a tube. Right.
And
Oh, anyway, and of course, we were band members, and most of our band's creativity was enhanced by incredibly good hashish in those days. And so as we were sitting around the house writing songs and sitting around the house, we had excellent free, by the way, free hashish directly from Afghanistan. That's a long story. But anyway, we were probably stoned out of our gourd on Easter, and Margaret was preparing sort of an Easter dinner for us all and had that cake. And I don't know whether she asked me or if I volunteered to decorate
or if you just let it sit there and Lon picked up the tube.
I think that's what it was. It hadn't been completely decorated yet, and I went into the kitchen with that tube, and I simply wrote, "Happy Easter, Lon."
Did you write the whole thing, or was it decorated? It said Happy Easter, and you just added Lon to it.
Maybe I put the lawn on. Obviously, it was my Easter that we were all celebrating.
That's enough Easter stories. Lon has real stuff.
Oh, I do, but we're pretty much out of time for my stuff today. But I'll
No, you have to do your stuff.
I'll at least I
Start it and
I
finish it
can't
tomorrow.
wear this hat, okay, for my stuff. Okay, that would make me look ridiculous. Thank you, dear, for that It looks pretty damn good, I tell you. How about that, dear? Don't go there or they'll see you.
This, oh my God, you shouldn't come see that at all anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you, dear. Let's have a big round of applause for
Goodbye.
for Miss Easter herself. You can probably turn that light off now.
Oh, thank God.
Ah, there we are. Welcome.
You have risen.
I Okay. What I was going to talk about today was INRI and this diagram right here. Okay. It has everything to do with Easter from a magical formulaic point of view, from the formula of the Aeon of Osiris as the opening act of the Aeon of Horus and everything else. And it's all based on, let's see here, if I can probably find a nice cleaner image to start with. This image right here, okay? This is the Hermetic Rose Cross. This is an extended essay on this by Frater Akkad. But I just want you to look at the big barbs. There's 4 big green barbs that say INRI on it. And then there's littler barbs on either side. See, there's an L and an I there, and a V and an A there, and a little cross there on that one, and an I there, and an X and an O on that one. And we see little zodiac signs. There's Virgo, there's Scorpio, there's another Virgo, and then there is the sun. Okay, now that is a formula. And it's not always easy to follow the logic because it seems like there's a couple extra barbs left over when we start analyzing the thing, and why the heck is our Virgo repeated and things like that. And but there's a very good reason for that. And those of us who have learned and perform in our magical careers, the banishing ritual and the invoking ritual, or the rituals of the hexagram, are familiar with this thing called the analysis of the word. And because the analysis of the word is an attempt to communicate a valid cosmological magical formula, that it was also expressed sort of in the passion play of the life of Christ. And it may have been crystallized in this form over the years by Hermeticists that were just sort of non-sectarian Greek philosophers, Hermetic alchemists, things like that, people who weren't really dyed in the wool, swallowing the whole dogma of the Church of Rome here. But generally speaking, the landmarks of the Passion of Christ, from the betrayal, from the destruction, the crucifixion, from the birth to the death, to the resurrection, follows this sort of great general astrological, cosmological truth, or at least one way of looking at the landmarks of reality itself, of life itself. And so the landmarks of all of this, and those of us that have learned and practiced the hexagram ritual, and which includes this analysis of the word, are familiar with this. And I'm going to share it with you, just basically what the analysis of the word is. I do it in ritual form, excuse me. If we do it in ritual form, the magician holds a wand. Do I have a wand here? I got a ruler. Well, anyway. And you say, INRI. Okay. I, that's that top one. Here, I'll point if I can figure out how to do it. INRI. Okay, so we're going left, right, left, right. INRI. The next thing we say is Yud, Nun, Resh, Yud. That's Hebrew letters. Yod or Yud. Nun. Okay. Yud, right there. There's Yud. I conveniently put that there. Yud. Nun. That's what a nun looks like. Resh. Resh. Yud. Yud repeated. Okay. And there's the Hebrew looking letters there. Then it says Virgo, Isis, Mighty Mother. Okay. Yud is Virgo. Isis. Ooh, look, we got a little eye there. Ooh. Virgo, Isis, Mighty Mother. Scorpio. Apophis. Destroyer. There's the A. Sol, Sun. Osiris. Slain and risen. Okay, he's a two-part guy here. We'll talk about this in a minute more here. Okay, slain and risen. Isis, Apophis, Osiris. Now it looks like we're shortchanging this one over here. Okay, sort of. But we got INRI, Yud, Nun, Resh, Yud, Virgo, Isis, Mighty Mother, Scorpio, Apophis, Destroyer, Sol, Osiris, slain and risen. Isis, Apophis, Osiris, E-A-O. Okay. Now, somewhere in here, I've got the sign, okay, over here, the sign of Constance slain, of Osiris slain. The sign of the morning of Isis. See how it looks like an L? The sign of Apophis and Typhon. The sign of Osiris risen. L V X. L V X. Lux, the light of the cross. Okay, then you turn your body into that. So down below here, okay, down below here in the corner that there we've got the light of the cross right there, and we've got the EAO right there. So that fills in all of those holes. And all of that makes this, in a sense, the table of contents of that magical formula. And it's how the INRI, the letters that supposedly were the Latin initials of Jesus of Nazareth, Rex Judaeorum, King of the Jews. Somebody along the line either put that huge coincidence together or they did it on purpose to say, look, we're talking about a big formula. We're talking about the birth of the year, you guys, okay? This is our religion, okay? It has to mirror, if it's going to be a true religion of any kind, it has to mirror the cosmological facts of life. And here it is how we see it. The year is born, it dies, it decays, it dies, and it gets itself born again. INRI, Yod Nun Resh Yod. Virgo, Isis, Mighty Mother. Scorpio, Apophis, Destroyer. Sol, Osiris, slain and risen. Osiris has two jobs, okay? To die and to be reborn. That's the EAO formula. Isis, Apophis, Osiris. And Osiris has two jobs. To be born and to die. That's the EAO formula. That comes out of the INRI formula. That's how 4 evolves into 3 and will eventually evolve into a singularity. The singularity is that Osiris, as a god, has two things to do, to be born and to die. But Osiris, if he would wake up to his true nature, neither is born and neither does die. The sun stays on all the time. The EAO formula is absolutely true from the point of view where you think that the sun is coming up and going down. But a new realization is that the sun stays on all the time, and it only appears to be born, and it only appears to die. It's on all the time. There ain't no two. And that's my Easter message. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other, and we will continue with the Thelemic holy days and the events of 1904. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter, Lon. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.